Hi, everyone, and welcome to LIT, Learn, Inspire, and Transcend. Today, we are tapping into the importance of mental health awareness, self-care practices, and strategies for maintaining our emotional well-being. My special guest today is the multifaceted Carolyn Pierre Outlar. Welcome.
Hey, thank
Hello.
you. Thank you. I'm honored to be here. Thank you for having me.
Thanks for being on the show. You know, you are a dear friend of mine. You inspire me every day. And you know, as our friendship developed over time, I've noticed the light that you have within you, and I definitely want to showcase you and see what we can share with the world. So,
Oh, thank you, friend. Thank you, friend.
so for people who don't know, Carolyn is a producer. She's a screenwriter. She also works in the medical field. And recently, you did mention to me that you are going to be pursuing becoming a life coach.
A wellness coach.
A wellness.
A wellness coach. So yeah, I'm excited about that. Stay tuned. I'm going to be launching my own wellness coaching service. It's called Psychosoulmatic, soul with the SOUL in the middle. But yeah, I'm excited to, start this new chapter in addition to everything that, I've been doing because, hey, I like staying busy.
Right,
Just a little bit.
So what inspired you to want to pursue that?
I think so. I've been a physician assistant since 2006. And what I've learned over the course of my time working with patients is that when they come to see me, I'm only dealing with half of their issue, right? Whatever it is, I'm not dealing with the mental aspect of their health. I'm dealing strictly with the physical. And I think we've become more aware of how mental health impacts your physical health.
Right.
I think it all starts with your mental health. And so you can come to me complaining of abdominal pain. You could come to me complaining of difficulty sleeping. You could come to me with frequent headaches or a lack of appetite. And I could give you Tylenol or Excedrin or, something for your headache. I could give you Ambien to help you sleep. I can give you medication to kind of increase your appetite. But what I'm not doing is dealing with the root causes of those issues. A lot of those somatic issues come from a mental imbalance, a mental issue.
Right.
So whether it's depression, anxiety, is stress related, research has found that the common cause, the one commonality that all chronic disease has at the root of it is stress.
Huh.
And so that led me to thinking, when I'm counseling someone in the clinic, and I'm giving them these tips on how they can improve their health, what it is I think they should be doing, to manage themselves better. They're walking out of the clinic with no one to guide them after that. And then I give them a follow-up. I see them, hey, have you started exercising? Hey, have you started, have you changed your diet?
Right.
And there's no one in between that to really guide them and say, hey, let's try to implement this. Let's try to, a single mom with 4 kids, and I'm telling her to exercise more. And she's like, I don't have the time. I don't have the money to eat any better.
Right.
I can't afford to eat healthier. Have you seen the cost of groceries at Whole Foods?
Right.
Have you seen what organic costs as opposed to processed foods and all of that? So it really dawned on me that I wanted to make even more of an impact. And so I've started training, taking courses in wellness coaching, because it is a slightly different skill than what I do. It's more of motivational. It's more of empowerment. It's more of, trying to get people to instill lasting change in their lives. So those are a lot of skills that we don't learn, like in medical school or in PA school. If you're a nurse practitioner, whatever it is, whatever kind of practitioner, a healthcare professional you are, practicing Western medicine, we don't learn that in school. And so I felt it was very important for me to go and learn and take those classes. So I'm in the process of completing my studies now. And I really want to launch and take, patient care to the next level, because it really is all about managing your mental health and your mental well-being. And if you do that, I think you'll see the benefits, you'll reap the benefits of a healthier body.
Right. That is so true. And it's true with the cost of food. I feel like nutrition is a huge part of our mental health. They say the gut to the brain, right? It's the same. Yeah. So whatever you're feeding yourself is what's going to kind of like mess with your brain a little bit.
Exactly. And I tell people all the time, I'm like, look, if you're driving a Bentley, you're not going to put, XXX gas in your Bentley. You want the best, right?
Right,
you want
of course.
Premium fuel. You want to get premium fuel in there. You're not going to go to some rinky-dink gas station and put cheap gas in your body. So treat yourself like a Bentley.
Right. Of course.
Like a Bugatti. Treat yourself like you are. Treat yourself like luxury. You are.
Health is wealth, for sure.
Health is wealth. Absolutely.
Your personal experiences with mental health and the challenges that we face, how have you kind of like navigated that?
So my mental health journey started, I was in college, and started going to the school counselor, Hunter College, started going to, the college, the counselor they had on campus. And she suggested that I see someone more regularly, more intensive therapy than what she could provide. And so I started going to, in Queens, started going to outpatient mental health clinic. And the first thing they want to do is just medicate you. So I was put on antidepressant, anti-anxiety medication. And I was put on another medication for what they said I needed for impulse control, right? And these medications just made me feel like a zombie. Like I was so out of it. I was on it for maybe a week and a half, and I stopped. And I stopped going to therapy. I stopped seeing the psychiatrist. It wasn't even therapy. It was a psychiatrist that I was seeing. And there's a difference, because a psychiatrist basically deals with psychiatric medications, whereas therapy, they're dealing more with like behavioral changes, cognitive behavioral therapy and other types of therapy to try to get down to the root of the problem.
Right. There's so many different types of like therapists.
Yeah, they are. Yeah. And so I just stopped going. And then over the course of really about 10 years or so, 10, 15 years, still continued to struggle with depression, anxiety, suicidal thoughts, suicide attempts, multiple suicide attempts, just a really, I had lost my dad before I started college, a couple of years before I started. I was 15, lost my dad. The relationship I had with my mother, God rest her soul, was not good. Left home, was on my own pretty much for about a year and a half, was in an abusive relationship. Everything just started piling on. Right. Sexual assault, multiple sexual assaults. And so I credit my husband, Jerome, whom I met in 2006, for making me take a really deep look at myself and wanting to become better. and realizing he was someone that I did not want to risk losing. And I knew that the way that I was going, the path that I was on. And during this time, like I was in PA school, I was very successful in PA school. I was doing well and that's part of the anxiety, right, that I had was growing up in a West Indian household. My family is Haitian. I'm from a Haitian background. So school was always very important. So that was at the core of who I was. So no matter how much drinking I was doing, no matter how I was acting out, the one thing I would do is get my work done. Right? So I got my work done. I managed to get through school and do very well in PA school. And so that part of my life was set, right? I became a PA. I was 30 years old, graduated. I was valedictorian of my class. I was like, hey, you know, and met my, you know, who would soon go on to be my husband the same year. And,
wow.
You know, I was just like wilding, like I was free from school. I was working. I was making money. Didn't need to depend on anyone. And I was just, you know, I was a lot to handle. And he was so patient with me and so kind and so patient. And I was like, you know, this guy, I'm putting him through a lot and he's still here. I don't want to lose this guy, you know?
Right.
And I had enough examples of what unhealthy relationships look like to know that this felt and looked different. So I was like, well, if all of those were unhealthy, this must be a good one. This must be a healthy relationship because this don't look nothing like what I'm used to. And so I don't want to lose this.
And that's so important to have a supportive partner too.
Oh my God, 100%, 100,000%. So he really made me take a look at myself and really was the driving factor in me going back and seeking therapy. At one point, I was working with a psychologist for 3-4 years. I felt like it wasn't really doing much. I didn't feel myself getting better. And those thoughts of depression were still very much prominent. Like I would wake up and not want to do anything. I was calling out a lot from work. I was just, you know, I would have these thoughts that would creep in, like, why am I even here? Why am I alive? If I died today, no one would miss me. You know, like those thoughts were just recurring thoughts. And it would happen just out of the blue. And I remember, you know, Jerome would ask me, why are you feeling like that? Why do you think like that? You know, you have this, you have that. And he, God bless him, he was trying to understand and make me feel bad. I was like, you can't understand. It's just something, it's a feeling that just comes over me.
Right.
You know?
It's like a dark cloud, right? It's like this
cloud. It's a cloud that, and you never know how you're going to feel when you wake up that day. Like it could be a good day or it could be a shitty day for you. And it's part of the reason why I'm so crazy spontaneous now, because I learned to, if it was a good day, I try to do everything I could in that day, have fun in that day, go out in that day. I'd be like, you know, I wouldn't plan anything because I couldn't really, I couldn't promise you that if I planned something with you, if I woke up that day, that I would be fine. I couldn't plan anything. So I lived my life in spontaneity. And, you know, the therapist, she was great, but I needed more. And so I started seeing a psychiatrist again. And this time I found a psychiatrist of color. It's a Black psychiatrist.
Nice.
And I'm still with him to this day. I've been working with him for about 7 years. And he put me back on medication, but this time I was on 1 medication instead of 2. And I immediately felt like, oh, okay, this is cool. I'm more stable. I'm not having those feelings quite as frequently. I'm not feeling down, depressed quite as frequently. Those suicidal thoughts, I had like some passive thoughts here and there, but I was more manageable. And
so meds do work.
Meds do work. It's not for everybody. Everybody doesn't need meds. It really depends on, like for me, my issue was an imbalance in my feel good hormones, in my serotonin, whether I was not making enough or whether it was being
depleted, maybe
reuptake, too quickly, like it wasn't around long enough for it to do what it needed to do
right.
in my system. And so there's different causes. And so the medication definitely helped. It helped with my serotonin level. It balanced my serotonin. And so I definitely felt the improvement, and Jerome saw the improvement. And I'm still on medication to this day. Now, the thing is with medication, yes, you have those, you may feel like less depressed, or I may have times when you're not depressed at all, but you're still not dealing with part of why you were depressed.
Okay.
Right? That's why the therapy, you need to do it in conjunction with therapy.
Right.
But what I needed to do for myself was let go and learn different ways to manage life better. Because with therapy, I'm dealing with this past trauma, but what therapy doesn't do, really, it will help you unpack, your thoughts and why you may have become the person you've become. But it doesn't really, and this is why coaching is so important. When I talk about the tools and I talk about, okay, I understand why I've gotten to this point, but in the future, how do I prevent myself from, going backwards, slipping backwards? And so I started working with a life coach. So this is a whole team, okay, to get me to where I am. So therapist, psychiatrist, life coach. So life coach and a lot of programs like Able To, which is a great program, they now have started incorporating therapy and coaching together. So you see both practitioners during the course of your treatment. They got it. They knew, like, okay, we could talk and unpack, and you could vent, and during your therapy session, and you feel better, and you learn to kind of recognize your moods and what you can do about them. But here's some coaching mechanisms that will help you when you're in the moment and life is coming at you in that moment. What it is that you need to do to manage, to cope better.
Right, because there are a lot of triggers. There's triggers that just
all over
set you off. Yeah.
That's life. There's always going to be life is all about uncertainty, and life comes at you. You have to learn to manage on a day-to-day basis, or else it's just going to pile on. The stress and everything will just pile on. And so a lot of programs now are incorporating both coaching and behavioral health. So I have a life coach. I've been working with my life coach now for about 6 years, I would say 6 years. And we speak once a week, our session. And so I take a little bit of what I learned from each practitioner, and I've kind of, used that to better myself. And not only that, spread the message to other people.
Absolutely.
So I'm always, I'm a big advocate for taking care of your mental health, taking care of course, your physical health, but also your mental health. I think is way more important, honestly.
Absolutely.
So that's the journey that I'm on, and how I've been coping personally.
Right. Now, what would you say to people who they don't have access, they don't have the funds to really seek out the help of a mental health practitioner, or maybe they've had therapy, but the therapist kind of messed them up even more? you know,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
the family is like, oh, you're on medication, you know, it's seen as this stigma, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Maybe, but
Yeah.
maybe now people are starting to really understand, like, we live in a society where we all need some therapy because it's very hard to deal with life these days with all the things that are coming at us within social media.
Mm.
You know, when COVID happened, we were secluded, we were isolated. That didn't help, you know. So I feel like right now, you know, what are some things that people can do to help them right now where they can't really find a therapist?
So there's a lot of, so New York City has free programs available. There's free and low cost programs that are available. And I'll send you some links so you could share with your viewers.
Oh, cool.
Programs that are, yeah. So there are community health centers. Like I work for a community health center in Manhattan now, where they don't turn anyone away for healthcare, including behavioral health. A lot of community
Oh,
health centers incorporate behavioral health into their clinics. So you can go there and it's sliding scale. You pay what you can afford, you know?
nice.
And like I said, even at the, you know, if you have an appointment scheduled and you don't have any money that day, they won't turn you away, you know?
That's
So I'll definitely send you some resources that I share with my patients so that you can share it with, you know, your followers and your subscribers. But the help is out there. I think there's more availability, more accessibility now than there's ever been. And I hope it continues to increase because
yeah, for
I
sure.
think everyone, like you said, everyone needs to have access to mental health.
Right.
Uh, you know, you see so much violence going on now around the world, in our backyard, on the trains.
On the train, did you see that?
Oh my God, on the trains. And the first thing I thought of was those people that were on that train are
Trauma.
traumatized.
Trauma. Yeah,
That's trauma. And on top of whatever trauma they may have already had or currently going through.
absolutely. Yeah.
So I'll definitely share that with you, Ty,
Yeah.
because like I said, I'm very passionate about people getting access and having access. And also, once I start my coaching, I'm going to also start coaching. So I'll have sliding scale as well, and there are going to be some there where I offer free coaching services for people who are really motivated, who really would like to make, you know, change. But, you know, hey, times are hard. That shouldn't
Right.
stop you from getting better. You may need to get better to make your, you know, to make your financial situation better.
True.
You know what I mean? Like it's a double, it's like, you know, I don't have money to get the mental health and the coaching that I need, but hey, maybe if you got the mental health coaching, you have money, right?
Right.
Like it's so
Right. It'll put you on the right track for sure.
exactly. So I'll be I'll be offering that as well. And I'll definitely let you know when the time comes. So if there's anyone out there who would really like to start their coaching journey, you know, I'll also be a resource, and you know,
Oh,
would
that's
love to help.
amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing. I would definitely share that with everyone.
It's so important. I mean, it
Yeah.
really, really, I've seen people whose physical health has declined because of the stress they were on. I've witnessed it firsthand. I've witnessed it with my mother. I've witnessed it with a coworker, colleague, friend of mine who, and it's usually the crazy thing is it's usually a stress from caring for someone else.
Oh,
That's the biggest burden. So as a mom, right? As a daughter, as a child, as a mom,
yes.
it's usually, those are the most impactful, stressful situations when it comes to your health. If you're a caretaker. And so in both situations, one was a brother of mine who has mental illness, who was he was on a decline, and it wore my mom down physically. And my mom went from a vibrant, you know, person was driving, walking everywhere, volunteering every week at the soup kitchen, going to church. She was, and to needing a knee replacement within a year. And it happened so fast. The doctors were looking at other causes. What could have happened? Was there an infection in the knee? Was there something it just happened like that? Wow. And in the other case was a good friend of mine who we worked together. And, we would walk during our lunches. We were together every day. And she was the nurse that was basically my partner when we were working in outreach. And so we'd have this long lunch every day, hour and a half for lunch. And we would get our meal and eat, walk through the park and everything. And, her mom, who had dementia, started to decline. And when she had to put her mom into a nursing home, that was the start of her decline.
Oh, wow.
And so she went from walking through Central Park with me to needing to take a bus to go, a mile down the road, walking with a cane, being on 4 different types of pain medication. And after she did the work, she didn't go to a psychiatrist. She didn't go to a therapist. She went to an alternative practitioner. She went to someone who practiced Reiki. Oh. And this Reiki healer unpacked all that trauma for her. And so it was literally this weight was lifted from her. And I still have that picture in my phone to this day. I snapped a picture of her. And this must have happened I don't know, probably close to 9 years ago. I have the picture saved in my Google photos. The first day that we went out and she had no cane. She had it with her, but she was using it less and less. And then eventually that day, as we were walking for our lunch, she lifted up the cane and she was like, and it was such a beautiful photo. It gives me to this day. And wow, the cane was gone. The cane was gone. And so she's still doing well.
Oh, God bless.
She's still doing well. I love her to death. She's with her grandbaby. She has since retired. She's with her grandbabies in Florida. And I'm so happy for her. But that's how important that mind-body connection is, so.
Absolutely.
Oh my God. Ooh, Carol,
oh no.
Ooh, I'm a softie.
I know.
Ooh, I'll be crying every day. I cry to find a Nemo. I'll be crying.
You're such an empath, Carolyn. You're such an empath.
I am.
I don't want to stop this momentum. It's very important work for me. It feels like, how they ask, what's your purpose and things like that. I know that when I'm providing good into the universe and I'm providing good into this world and, just helpful information and hopefully people can learn from it and change their lives in some kind of way, that brings me a lot of joy. So I feel like this is part of my purpose and I want to make sure I'm on top of it and doing this.
Yes, for sure. Something that we all should look at and check in with your primary care provider at least once a year when you're doing your physical. Now we started asking more about, your depression symptoms, anxiety symptoms as part of a routine physical, because I think we've realized in healthcare how important it is. And
it seems like everyone.
Yeah, exactly. And COVID didn't help things. Life is stressful enough, but then, you're adding all these additional factors that have kind of compounded upon people's already stressful lives.
Right.
So there's a lot of resources out there. And there are some people who are going to need medication to help in addition to therapy. Psychiatrists are licensed medical doctors who prescribe the medications. And then you have the therapists who can be licensed clinical social workers, They can be licensed psychologists and have a PhD in psychology, but they're not necessarily medical doctors, so they don't handle the medication component of it. So usually they're in tandem. They go together. So you may have someone who's on medication, but you're also going to need therapy to kind of talk through whatever it is you're going through, and to kind of give you coping mechanisms and how to handle future stresses, your current stress you may be under. So the resources that are out there, people can reach out to the Department of Mental Health and Mental Hygiene in New York City. They can also do 311. They can do 988. If you text 988, you can get resources, and you put the link up, which is great, to the website. And then, there are a myriad of other applications that you could get, like, apps like Better Me, Able To, because it's really important.
It is. And I realize that, there are a lot of people that are trying to cope with their trials and tribulations. These days, it's really difficult. And a lot of ways that we tend to cope, which seems to be like the norm, is, alcohol, drugs, casual sex, fast food, but do you have any tips on building like healthier coping mechanisms, during these times? Because it seems like sometimes, you just want that comfort for that time. And then dark cloud goes away. Yeah. You're okay. You're good. So.
Yeah. One of the things that I like to do is get people to look at the things that they enjoy. But the things that you enjoy, you release dopamine or serotonin, which are your body's feel-good hormones, right? For me, I love music. So whenever I listen to music, I feel happy. Or when some people it may be painting or sketching. Some people may be dancing, and you and I have experience with dancing.
For hours.
Right. Exercise, is a nice natural way to boost your body's dopamine levels and your serotonin levels.
Listening to birds,
Yeah, I think if you engage in whatever it is that makes your heart happy, I think that will make your mind happy, and that will calm you. People tend to look at those unhealthy coping mechanisms because they think it will allow them to forget their troubles. And what happens is they usually create more problems for them in the long run. And so we really want to get away from those unhealthy coping mechanisms, the drugs, the alcohol, the sex, anything that doesn't have a positive impact on yourself, and try to find ways. Take a walk. Nature therapy is a big thing. I don't have much experience on it, but there was a study, I believe it was done in Oregon, and it may have come from Japan, don't quote me. But they looked at the effects that being in nature, had on people's health and well-being, and how many minutes a day, how many times a week were you out in nature and just walking, in the park. What did that look like? What did that do for you? And over time, it showed big health benefits, So one of the things I prescribe for patients is to take a daily walk. Take a daily walk if you're able to, and if you have some greenery around you, do that. It's extremely calming. I love plants, and so I'm not a great plant mom, but I would love to get more plants because plants calm me down. Like, I love plants. So there are things that you could do. Find your joy, just whatever it is that makes you happy, and do that. And eventually I think that can take the place of any unhealthy habits you may have.
Right. I hear that. I hear that. I know, doing the nature walks and things like that, it brings a sense of clarity as well. So, if you have something that you're thinking about that, maybe the answer will come in that instance.
Definitely.
So for people who do have this dark cloud, like, sometimes we have our bad days. How can they kind of discern between needing genuine certified therapy and just really maybe just needing somebody to talk to, like a friend?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think the telltale sign is if it's starting to impact your relationships, if there are things that you want to do that you're not able to do because you're not, your body, you want to do it, but mentally you're just not, you just don't feel like doing anything. Or if it's starting to impact your work, your school, your grades, any sort of impact that it's having on your life, I think it's time to definitely take a look at maybe starting therapy and getting a consultation. Start by reaching out to your provider, your healthcare provider, if you have one, and if you don't have one, make sure you find one.
Especially consistent thing, right? Like every day,
yeah, definitely. And I think that's where you start versus someone who just may be going through something and just needs a friend to talk to, and otherwise is doing okay. No real, no issues with unhealthy habits. Relationships are fine. Work is good. You're not constantly calling out of work like I was when I was depressed. I can't tell you how many times I got, talked to or reprimanded because of my sick days. And back then, people didn't look at mental health as requiring sick days. And so my sick days went to mental health and people didn't understand it. And, I've almost lost jobs because I missed so many, I was absent so many days, and it's hard to explain to people that I just didn't feel like getting out of bed. And it's like, well, you're just lazy. And it's like, no, I just really didn't feel like getting out of bed and I wanted to die. I don't know how to explain this to you. But now we're talking about having mental health days put into your PTO, and there's less of a stigma about talking about it. And so I really think the issue is if your mental health, if it's impacting your life in any way, then that's when you need to really reach out for help.
Carolyn, I commend you for seeking that help for yourself because, I know it could have been a lot worse. And I thank you for sharing your wisdom here. Is there any mantras or affirmations that I know you've given me a couple of affirmations.
Yes.
Songs and it's catchy that keep you
I have my affirmation rap. Right. So I have my affirmation rap that I do on a daily basis. I meditate every day. I journal every day. And then I do my visualizations because I feel like your energy, like what you put out there is what you're going to receive. So you really want to kind of drive out that negative energy any way you can, whether it's through, journaling and writing out your frustrations for the day or doing a meditation. Like what I learned to do are clearing exercises, which basically you take all the trauma that you've had that day, or even, the trauma in your past, and you release it, you let it go, because holding on to trauma also has a physical effect on your body, right? And so the affirmations are a great way of practicing self-care and loving yourself. And so my affirmation rap is, I am awesome. I am blessed. I am a force to be reckoned with. I'm a gift. I'm a star. And the universe really set the bar with my creation. I mean, I'm amazing. I'm funny. I'm entertaining, but I'm also loving and I'm kind. Anyone who can't see this must be blind. The way I elevate humankind. Come on, y'all. Time is mine. And so that's my affirmation rap. And then I have my mantra that I repeat to myself. And my mantra is more aspirational, like where I want to be. And I think that's a great exercise for people to practice as well. Think about your future, think about where it is you want to be, and write to that, and recite that, because it will get you in the mindset of working and improving yourself and working towards your goals. And, all of those things are important. Just not only, for mental health, but your overall well-being, I think. So.
Right. I love that. I love that so much. I'm going to try to make one and I'll send it to you too.
Make one and then drop it on the gram. That's a challenge.
The mantra.
Make an affirmation rap.
And then we got it's been a pleasure speaking with you today, Carolyn.
The pleasure was mine. The pleasure was all mine. I love you. I love what you're doing. You are a light in this world. And I'm so happy that you are sharing it with others. And I hope everyone sees the beauty in you that I see. Ever since I've met you, you're beautiful inside and out, girl. And I love you.
I think it's so important to have, the right people around you and a support team, because you definitely feel other people's energy when, they're trying to bring you down or they're leading you on the wrong path. You have to be your discernment has to be so on point, because if you're not in a good place and you're around people who are just not in a good place either, it could lead towards a terrible path.
Absolutely.
So I really appreciate you and the people that I keep around me as support. So, and I hope I do the same for you.
Oh, absolutely. You are so right. It's so important to keep that light around you. And, when you're shining bright, you're gonna kind of repel the people that, can't stand the light, which is also a good thing.
Right.
So keep that darkness away and keep shining your light. That's it.
Sure. I'll be lit.
That's it. What is it? Learn, inspire, transcend. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Take care of your mental health.
Yes, for sure.
Bye.